The M2 MacBook Air. Man, this thing punches above its weight. Let's talk about it. Yo, what up, YouTube? Crash Wilcox, and I just want to bring you a short little video about this M2 MacBook Air, because when I was looking around to make the decision on whether or not I wanted to get it, I could not really find something of this type of video. So just trying to show it off here for you guys a little bit, that it actually is an M2 MacBook Air. I'm not going to give you all the B-roll, not going to give you all the, slow-mo cut scenes. You've seen all that. If you're here watching my video, you've seen it all. I'm not going to go super deep into benchmarks. You'll see them going along the bottom of the screen there. But you've seen all the benchmarks, right? And now you're here. Hopefully because you're trying to figure out if the MacBook Air can do for you what I was hoping it would do for me. So in addition to, sporadically making videos for this channel, my wife and I host a podcast. And in the course of that podcast, we kind of put our laptops through a bit of a load. We have OBS streaming, and you can kind of see my setup as we're going through this, OBS streaming on the screen. We got maybe some notes pulled up as well. We've got, 10 to 15 different tabs open in our internet browser. We've got Reaper, or in this case, Logic Pro running to record the audio. We're recording in 4K from my Panasonic GH4. We're running a Scarlett 2i2 audio interface connected to two Presonus PD70 microphones. All of that's going on. And my thought was, well, can the MacBook Air handle this? It's a 8-core CPU. It's fanless, so can it actually handle this level of workload without throttling, without, messing up the stream? So maybe you're not podcasting, but maybe you're streaming, or, maybe you're hosting, a college class, or, something on Skillshare, whatever. And you want to know if you can have, recording software running, plus audio, plus tabs, and maybe other programs running in the background. Can it handle it? So that's what we're going to try to highlight here in this video. And then if you stick around to the end, I'll kind of point out to you why ultimately I'm not keeping the MacBook. So this MacBook is a spec'd out MacBook Air. It has 24 gigabytes of RAM. It's got the 2 terabyte SSD in there. Obviously the 8-core CPU, 10-core GPU is in there as well. So it's the best M2 MacBook Air that you can buy. And the reason, originally why I got it was I wanted it to last a while, right? I wanted it to be something that I kept around for a year, 2 years, whatever, 3 years if needed. One of the things I just want to make as a side note that's funny, when you watch MacBook reviews and stuff online, they're completely different than Windows PCs. All the Windows PCs, it's whatever the most spec'd out version you can get, i9, RTX 3080, whatever happens to be, the most ridiculous, expensive Windows laptop you can find. But then when you go to the MacBook side, it's the base model. What can I possibly do with 8 gigabytes of RAM and a 256 gig SSD? And I don't want that. I want a computer that is going to actually give me some longevity, give me a little bit of leg room. And this spec'd out MacBook Air, I thought might be able to do that. So that's what we did. We just set up a normal podcast situation for me. As you can see on the screen, the tabs are open, OBS is running, recording in 4K, audio recording in Logic. We were running it all. And we ran it for 30 minutes, like a normal podcast or a lecture might be, right? 30 minutes. And, long story short, it ran it flawlessly. It did amazing. I mean, you can see I'm touching the top deck, the under deck, mildly warm at best. Never got warm. And when you see on the screen, it wasn't throttling. It wasn't maxing out the components. It ran perfectly. So if you needed something like this MacBook Air, it can handle it. And as you can see, something to consider, whenever all these reviews are base model, whatever. I mean, you can see it's using almost, 14 gigabytes of RAM. So consideration would certainly be to get that RAM bumped up to 16 gigs at a minimum. But, also I would say 256 gig is laughable that they would produce a laptop even for this much money that comes with 256 gigs. I mean, that's laughable. I mean, Apple should do better, and shame on them. I mean, even 512 at this point is becoming a little bit limiting. So that's it. I just wanted to make this short. It can handle it all, and it does it easily. You could certainly load it down more if you needed to. So I just wanted you guys to see that in case you're curious. Now, why am I not keeping my spec'd out MacBook Air? Well, quite simply, I don't think it's worth the money. And again, this is me. It may not be the case for you. This spec'd out version cost me around $2,400, which is a lot of money. And it's certainly a wonderful machine, but I just feel like it's not a great value, and you can get other things that can accomplish what this can accomplish, and you can save a lot of money. And again, this is just unique to me. But what I did after I purchased this and, pause for a minute to ponder the money I just spent on this, I went and did a little bit of looking. And I, in turn, I'm going to send this back and replace it with what I found is a Dell XPS 15. This is the 2022 model, 9520. It's got the i7 12700H, 3050 Ti, 32 gigs of RAM, a terabyte SSD. And I got this on Dell refurbished for $1,500. So $1,000 less. And what I did with that other $1,000, because I wasn't smart enough to save it, I bought a new audio interface, Focusrite Vocaster 2. I bought a additional 2 terabyte NVMe drive for my XPS. So now I have 3 terabytes of Gen 4 storage. I bought 2 new microphones to upgrade our podcast, because again, that's what I was using this for, as a podcast. So you can see the stuff that I purchased on the screen, and all of that combined costs less than a single MacBook Air. So the MacBook is awesome. It blows out whatever your expectation of it is. It's better than that. I assure you, it's a phenomenal machine, but it comes at a phenomenal price, really. And, if you got the money, yeah, go nuts, go buy it. It's worth it. It's going to be awesome for you. But if that money is a stretch for you, then consider this other route. I mean, you can buy 2 laptops. You can buy a full desktop computer plus a refurbished XPS, which is not going to be as powerful as this MacBook Air. Maybe in some applications it certainly will be, and it'll be close for sure, but it still has fans, right? It's still bigger, all those sorts of things. So you're making a trade-off for sure, but it's $1,000 less. That's a lot of money. And if maybe you're considering getting into streaming, or maybe you're just about to start a class, or you're just about to start doing online tutorials, whatever it happens to be, there's a lot of things you got to spend money on, and you can stretch it a lot of different ways. Whereas, one, even as great as this is, even as nice as it is to use, you could get something like this, or this XPS, I'm sorry. You could get something like this for $1,000 less, and you could even go and pick out a second gaming laptop to have, whatever it happens to be. So if that's my case, obviously it's not going to be your case, but for me, that's why I couldn't justify hanging on to it. Awesome machine, powerful, quiet, cool, more than capable for whatever you want to throw at it, but it's a lot of money. And in my case, it could be spent better elsewhere. And that's ultimately what I'm going to do. So I hope this video helped you guys to see that, yeah, if streaming, recording, that sort of stuff is something you want to do, yep, it can do that. And then you obviously seen all the other benchmarks. It can do all the other stuff too. Wonderful machine, but it comes at a steep price. So don't go into debt for technology. Make your money stretch, There's a lot of great products out there that you don't got to break the bank for. So I hope this helped you guys. If you have questions, comments, let me know. I'll do my best to respond to each of those. But otherwise, that's all I got. God bless.